Okay, so we are now at the after show of Akashic Records.
Woohoo.
So I think that went, I think that went really well. There's a lot of information in that show that I think was going to be super helpful for a lot of people. You know what? I think that is actually going to be really helpful for readers and healers as well.
Yes.
So I
These
think,
are my notes for the show.
oh,
My doodles.
always do a doodle. You're like, oh wow. When you're
Yeah,
when you're famous, you can sell those on it.
right. Right.
So no, but I think that there's Akashic records are we were talking about on the show. They're touched upon, but they're not really actually explored very much. I don't think. I think that it's the topic is too overwhelming, and so I question everything. I literally find that I question everything, all the information that I'm getting. I want to know how, how they say little kids will pick apart like their
Yeah.
toy truck
Why?
and then put it back together. I feel like I do that with spiritual stuff. I want to pick everything apart and figure out how to how it works, but I tend to find that it's not as complicated as everybody tends to make it out to be. And that was
Mm.
always my frustration with spiritual stuff. And this was a good show. I liked the show. I enjoyed it. I think. Do you do you find that people? Do you know people that do what they call as Akashic readings? I mean, that they just specifically call them that.
I don't personally know anyone that does it like my own in my own group, but I do know of some people. I can't even think of their names right now, who promote themselves as Akashic readers.
And that's interesting because that's what pretty much everybody's doing.
Right.
Kind of
And
like when you connect into spirits, but everybody doesn't call them a medium, or connect into
right.
pets, and then not or angels. I don't know. It's interesting. There's all different kinds of readings
Yeah.
that people do, but they're basically getting a lot of the information from the same place. And I think that that's really the hub of the show. You
Yeah.
know, whether that people are doing angel readings, pet readings, the spiritual communication system is a lot simpler than people think. How they access that information is through different avenues, and
Yeah.
it's different per person, but it's a lot simpler and cleaner, and it's it's magnificently streamlined. Like that's one thing that I notice when I've done the channeling stuff. It's
Mhm.
mind-boggling how they can take this array of information and streamline it so well that it's basically flawless. It's the only flaw would be coming in the translation, and such. So it's
That's huge. The translation,
yeah,
as well as the flaw is in the human error of not trusting what you're seeing.
right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I find that part interesting. But the the simple subject of it is really kind of interesting, and the different. I don't think that people talk enough about the different avenues of the records, I guess I would say. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like the
Yes.
different, I don't know what other word I would use, but the different sections of the records. Um,
Yeah. And
yeah,
that's what's really fascinating. And I think that's where people get hung up is because so you have the the so I see the sacred geometrical shape of it,
hmm,
of the records as an entity. And then there is, I mean, it's so vast and huge and expansive that there are avenues all around to get access. So there are different channelers, psychics, mediums who are kind of gaining access. And would it be in different areas of the Akashic record?
well, so that's a good question. The records, I'm just going to say we've moved them down to this big just for the sake of this conversation, which, if you think about it, you know how an atom has like some
Mhm.
ridiculous amount of just massive information, they can shrink. Like they
Mhm.
can see, they'll show you that they can shrink the records down into just like little teeny little things. But if you're wanting to look at it more detailed, you pull them up. You literally just pull them up and they get larger. And then you find your area of what you, because that's what you have access to. And then you find you and you see all these billions and billions. You know that they're individuals on there because they're like little circles. And then but they're circles on a big blue looking mountain ridge thing. And then when you find you, that part just magnifies and comes up right in front of you, and you get to see your ridges and your timeline and all that. That stays intact on its own. So, but for everybody's energetic record, as they are in the map, they have a copy of the map in their energetic body.
Mhm.
So they have the copy of, not the map, I guess I would say, their part of the map. So now everybody has an energetic record in their makeup of who they are. And then that is what, like, you would see on a timeline. You would see, if you were looking at me, you would have access to my timeline record and the information that it holds, however that you access that, because that record, that energetic record, is in my spiritual body, my imprint.
And so I think I got bumped off when I was talking about at the end there, when different readers access that, having access to the records. I think unknowingly people are accessing the records.
Yes.
Unknowingly. And then you bring in your clairs, your gifts, your clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, right?
That's your translation tool.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's not, see, that's the thing that's interesting for people, is that's your translation tool.
Right.
That's not the clairs, how would you say it? Like, you need a translation tool to access the energetic record. And so that would be your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, your claircognizance, whatever. You use that accessing tool to then read the record, and then you gain the information through that translation tool.
That's fascinating. And I really feel like it really helps, like you say, simplify what the Akashic records are. A lot of people are already tuning into it without realizing that they are, and then break it down. Like it's really pretty simple once you think about it.
Well, and I think that people are under the impression that it's this one giant record that everybody can have access to, but there's different avenues or different things of the record. How would you even say that? There's different files in the record.
Subjects, right? There's different
Yeah,
subjects.
there's like different files. So
Yeah.
again, it'd be like, say you have a PDF download of like 1 billion files, like 1 billion PDF pages. You would have access to page 273 or whatever, and that would be your part of the Akashic record. That would be your energetic record, because you don't need, again, think of the overwhelmingness. I mean, if somebody really tuned into the Akashic record map and then tried to tune into all this billions and billions and billions of people's information and try to pinpoint into a certain timeline, that's an overwhelming thing to do. You know, everybody holds the page, so their cliff notes, so to speak. Actually, moving forward, I would call that more cliff notes, because that's a summary. So, and they mimic each other. Your birth chart mimics the the potential future timeline. And I found that interesting when I was looking at the records myself, when they wanted me to see some very specific information on some future things that were happening. And I knew from the ridges and the vibration, this thing that was occurring that they were wanting me to see. And but I wasn't allowed to go into that into detail. You're not allowed to move forward into minutes or hours or days or whatever. You're not allowed to do that, but you can see outline points. So that is in alignment with your birth record. That's interesting.
That is interesting. And when you brought up the Hall of Records, I realized when you were talking about that, you said holds information, like channeling information, universal laws. I didn't put the two together until you just mentioned it on the show. I've been going to the Hall of Records for months in my dream time.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, it's what you call things, or what you give terminology to something. Mm-hmm. So I didn't realize that, I'm back at this library / mall / college.
Oh, that's another thing. People will think college. The amount of books and the reading and the knowledge that's going on there. A lot of people will believe or feel that they're in some type of spiritual college when they're in the Hall of Records. Yes.
Right. And so it's funny. It's like, oh, it's back there again. I don't know what I'm learning, but I'm learning something good in there.
But you will also have classes and teachers branched off of the actual Hall of Records library as well.
Yes.
So that's the university aspect, but it's still the Hall of Records, but there's like wings, I guess I would say. Wings where you have the teachers and you will see other students and you will be learning about spiritual journeys, or I don't know, pet communication or angel communication. Like you will be downloading information. You'll have a teacher. Yeah, they are very much like you're in a college. Yes.
It was fascinating because I remember one time, and I know when I'm there, but I'm not when I wake up recalling what I learned. I just know I downloaded some amazing stuff in my dream time. But I remember one time I arrived at the school and I got a name tag, and they stopped because someone else wrote it for me. There was a helpers there, like welcome to class. And they stopped and they said, what name are you using? And that's when I was changing my name. My birth name is Debbie and I changed it to KL. And I said, oh, KL, like no brainer, KL. And then it went like, just glided on, and I very proudly put it on, and I went to my class. I don't know what I learned that night, but
and then as you advance further, then you go into the same areas and you also do teachings. So that's what I do, a lot of that. I teach all the time in my sleep and my awake time, but I still also learn. I don't think that you ever stop learning. I think that there's so much to learn and remember and retain. And the more that you can lucid astral travel or lucid dream, like I picked my dream stuff apart so much that I became very aware of. I'm aware all times of my dream states. I'm aware if I'm just having an energetic dream. I'm aware of astral travel. I'm aware of when I'm on the other side, when I'm channeling. I'm so aware of what I'm doing that I personally will wake up and go through my entire experience every single day. Like I never, ever get out of bed without going through every single thing that I just experienced. That's my favorite part of the morning. And I actually have a very lucid memory of all of those things. I will remember what I was teaching. I will remember what I was being taught. I will remember what I channeled. Like I have a very lucid and very strong memory of the other side, which some people don't. I have for years. It probably started 10 years ago. And so for what you said is super common though. So I'd like to make sure that anybody watching this, especially if you're in the healing field, that you don't wake up in a panic, that you don't remember what's on the paper, you don't remember, because you're exactly right. You will retain the information, and you will use it when you need it. It's not, you don't need to remember everything that you downloaded at that moment, because it will come to the surface at the time that you need it. So don't worry, don't panic. Not everybody's like me. I'm weird. So, but again, it's because I really just wanted to understand that better. But now that I think back, though, I always did that when I was little. So,
I was going to ask, were you a why child? Why? Why?
oh no, but I was in a sense, because nothing made sense to me that regular people were doing. And so, like, when I was in a dream state as a child, young, 5, 6, 8, whatever, I would remember being on the other side all the time. And so I would wake up and be like, oh, I'm back here again. Like, I remember thinking that. I remember just being like, man, why am I here again? You know, because I'd be like, I was still, to me, that was still home.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a while for that to get out of my system. And I've always been very lucid in remembering anything spiritual in my dream state. I'm weird, though. I don't.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not normal.
No. Well, who is?
Yeah.
None of us are.
I don't know, but it's. I think that I would like, if anybody gets anything out of the show, especially healers and readers, again, who I think there are some absolutely fantastic ones out there who don't question how they read. And I just hope that they get the simplification of the entire thing, that mediums aren't accessing this and psychics aren't accessing this, and then past life hypnotherapy people are not going here and angel readers are not going here. You're all accessing the same thing. You're just accessing it differently. Just like the same way as a clairvoyant is seeing and a clairaudience is hearing. I mean, everybody accesses things different. They train themselves to do things different. So
right.
I think that that's really the gist. It's a lot more, the simplification is bigger. We have access to certain parts of it, but the large part of it you don't have access to unless it's your specific self. And again, this is my experience. And when I read some of the things to make sure, I wanted to cover all the questions. I was trying to figure out questions people had about it, because that's what I like to make sure that I cover. It was interesting that it seemed like a lot of people hadn't visited where I had visited. So that's their experience. This is mine. Yeah.
And also, I would like people to really trust what you are seeing when you do access your records on your own, to really trust what you're seeing. Because when they have access and they get in there and they're like, oh, their mind kicks in and like, oh, that can't be right.
Right. Well, and for healers, if anybody who are healers listening to this and they're like, oh, okay, I do have access to the Akashic records. I do want people to understand that I think a lot of people don't put that out there because people will question you a lot. So if you are beginning your healer journey, just do your healing or reading the way that works for you. Don't try to say, okay, well, I know I do Akashic records readings now, so I'm going to do that. I mean, if you want to, great. But the only reason that I'm kind of talking about this information is just to simplify, so you understand. The more you simplify and understand how you receive the information, then the better it is to receive the information. The quicker the belief system goes down, it becomes easier and more quicker and faster to get the information and trust it more. And then you can advance further because you'll be seeing more signs. So it's not necessarily for you to run around telling everybody you do it, because you may or you may not get some weird reactions. Some people may turn away from you and go, well, I don't want that kind of reading, because people don't understand what that is. And then some people might go, oh, I've been looking for someone who did that. So it may affect your business either way, or your readings either way. I think that it's interesting because Akashic Records tends to have, the name itself tends to have a very broad I think, expansive knowledge base that I think a lot of people, when somebody wants read, they really truly need help from where they are today, usually with concerns or worries. That's my belief. I always try to help my clients. Where are you at today? What are you worried and concerned about? Because that's where I can really be helpful. I feel like if you do a very broad one, that's not necessarily helpful. It might be helpful for somebody who's just coming on a spiritual journey, just learning about it, because they might be going, oh, wow, I have all these different aspects of myself. But if you're wanting to really help someone during a reading, I feel like it's a gift to be able to help them through blocks and see around things that they can't see, and help them avoid situations that need to be avoided. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like that Akashic Records title gives it more of a broad feel. And I think that that's good in some instances, but I necessarily wouldn't use it for all the term. I wouldn't use the term because you're obviously using it. You're going into that energetic
Right.
record that you're doing, but whether you voice it out loud, it can be confusing. Basically, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, because there isn't enough information out there.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand it enough. I don't think that anybody understands it. They don't understand. They just they want to feel better. They want to feel more clarity,
Mm-hmm.
So anyways,
yeah.
I think that was a really great show.
It was a great show.
I think that hopefully that brought some clarity to people, and we'll be back next week. Do you have anything else to add?
Gosh, nope.
Okay. All right. Well, then hopefully you enjoyed.
Yes. Go listen to the show. Watch this.
Yes.
Learn. Trust what you're seeing.
And simplify it. See your process. Feel the records in people, and it will help make a lot more sense to you.
And
all right.
Yes. Use your gifts.
Yes. Enjoy your day. Aloha.
Bye, everyone.